Ready? 1, 2, 3. We are Spinal Tap.
We are.
All right, yeah.
We're rockers.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I was watching that movie last night. It's so friggin' hilarious, you know?
Yeah? Been a while for me.
Yeah, we're the lovely lads.
Yes. Oh my God.
Yeah, that was a piece of
Wow.
genius. What?
That was genius. That's great comedy.
Yeah.
That's a great group. One of the most talented groups in comedy and everything ever.
Oh, yeah.
So what a week we have. We've got AI all over the place. We've got people changing the way they look. We've got people having Chat GPT write things for them. Just ask it a question or give it a prompt and have it write a 5-paragraph theme for you or a poem or whatever. We have the news this morning that Ericsson just offloaded the IoT accelerator and connected vehicle cloud business to Aeris Communications. No idea how they pulled that one off.
And it's interesting because Ericsson gave the IoT platform business to Core. So they played both MVNOs on everything that they did.
You know, they were just trying to offload that albatross. That's the takeaway. I'm not going to say too much because I'll probably get sued or something. Too much
information.
Too much inside baseball there. But
well, hold on. Great segue. All's right in the world, Mr. Aaron Judge.
Cool.
Hey, I heard Verlander's going to the Mets.
It's already done.
It's a done deal, huh? All right. Wow.
But Judge, man, 9 years. A lot of money.
And now, hey, hey, don't forget Rackspace.
Rackspace.
That's not really IoT. Sort of IoT because everyone thinks that everything is going up to the cloud. Well, there you go. At least
it's a clear day with no clouds.
Yes. Yeah. And then what else? Hey, on the sunny side of things, well, Rob, you went live with your greenhouse platform, right? And that was kind of cool.
Yeah,
that was a great announcement.
Slowly teasing it out, you know.
Yeah.
How was the response?
Oh, it's been overwhelming. I've got so many well-wishers, it's kind of like also, aside from the right message and using it for something important, it's also kind of along the lines of advice we've probably given to a lot of IoT people. It's like, pick a use case or pick something and go build something for that. Don't send a generic thing out there in the world and hope you're going to be successful.
Yeah.
And so obviously in this case, I really tried to emphasize, hey, this thing is for sustainability. It's for monitoring, emissions, water, things like that. No rocket science. It's nothing like what Ryan's platform at Telit is. It's not for factories. It's not for talking to PLCs. Mm-hmm. It's none of that stuff, it's super focused. And I really want to keep the focus on that. And then obviously the whole thing is the book that I'm working on kind of goes with it. Yep. It's like the book is like a handbook. Here are all the use cases. Here's the directions to follow. Take this technology and this book and volunteers. Probably sounds a lot like the Peace Corps or something. I don't know. to go tackle those things. But that being said, it doesn't have to be like a charity Peace Corps thing, because these use cases that help sustainability, a lot of them help companies save money too, and so there's certainly a business aspect to it, which is good for business. And none of this stuff is rocket science. This is stuff we've been talking about forever. It's not. I always come off sounding like some kind of IoT contrarian, because I don't like to talk about ML and stuff like that. And I like to remind people that if you didn't have to get in a pickup truck to go to the tank farm terminal to take a reading or measure how much oil, you just saved money by not driving. You save fuel, you save wear and tear on a vehicle. Every oil company tells me the most dangerous, high-risk place they can put an employee is not on top of a drilling rig, but in a truck.
Yeah.
And so, it feels like a back to basics thing. A lot of these things that help sustainability also are the most basic, easy, understandable IoT use cases ever made. You didn't have to do this because the sensor and the magic of wireless did it for you.
Yeah.
No rocket. And also, not only is rocket science not required, a hyperscale cloud is not required either to do this stuff. It just isn't.
Yeah.
These are tiny bits of data. As we like to remind people here on IoT Coffee Talk, all the IoT stuff on the planet, all time, still hasn't compared to one day on NASDAQ or the New York Stock Exchange when you want to talk about transactions. Not even close.
Yeah.
So you don't need a hyperscaler. You can probably do it on an Intel NUC.
Yeah.
Well, if that's your interface, right, for getting whatever insights and stuff like that. So yeah.
I'm always reminded, I talk about every once in a while, a lot of people don't understand what first principles are. And what they are is just something to be true, something that's indisputable. Mm. And so when I have past experiences of building an energy financial instrument trading system back in the old days, when we were connected to Enron and all the other energy trading companies, what we built was kind of like building like NASDAQ. We were also connected to NYMEX and all that stuff. And guess what? We somehow did it on a 32-bit Windows Server 2000 with SQL Server 2000. What does that mean, friends out there? It means you only had 4 gig of RAM total for your server. And you can force SQL Server to take 3/4 of that. And we use classic active server pages to do REST calls. And we use the power of message queues. And so, meanwhile, while Enron and everybody else was using Sun Microsystems servers and spending, hundreds of millions of dollars, if we can pull it off in 32-bit land with just a few servers, you can do it in IoT as well. Hmm. And so that's how I know I don't need NoSQL databases, and I don't need spanning multiple hyperscale clouds and crap like that to make it work, because I know better. So there you go. There's your rant, your first principles rant for the day. How's it going, Mr. Vasquez?
I really need to join in like 6-7 minutes late so that I can just miss a few and then just slide in. Because I come in, you're talking about safety, and there's a lot of people thinking about safety, like Elon Musk. He's putting beds here at mid-market office because safety is means a bed so that people don't leave.
Safety dance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And if you want to talk about first principles and Enron spending all this dough on hardware, dude, they were playing with house money, Rob.
Right, that's right.
I mean, why not? So no, but it's all good. Another beautiful Wednesday for IoT Coffee Talk, and I love your rants, Rob.
Well,
I'm here for you.
That was our bright spot, man. We're talking about how there's a lot of news that came out last week that were kind of downers, so we wanted to lighten things up at the beginning.
Lighten things up with a lightweight IoT sustainability platform called Greenhouse and an accompanying handbook to help you change the world so that you sleep better at night, boys and girls.
Mm-hmm. So, Hey, Ryan, we haven't seen you in a while, man. How you been? What have you been up to?
I've been good. I've been on the road a bit, doing some speaking events. Had some fun went down to Galveston a few weeks ago for the International Society of Automation. Did a talk on edge computing, the challenges in the factory. Just been working a lot with partners, and work's picking up. Everyone's into the IoT thing now.
Again.
It's coming back. Edge computing.
And Ryan, you've lost weight, which doesn't really go with travel. And I live in Texas, where there's awesome barbecue. Like, what's going on, man?
Yeah,
I'm using all that brain.
Man. Woo, Galveston.
Yeah.
That's like Florida, kind of.
Yeah. It was fun.
Oh my gosh! No, you know what? Me growing up in Houston, that's where we always went, because Galveston was just a 50-mile drive from Houston. So you could go into the brown ocean water out there, and the discolored sandy beaches with piles of weird stuff on the beaches, just like Florida.
Keep your brown crap away from us, please.
Rob,
for those of you,
were you wearing your oil and gas swim trunks?
Yes, yes. For those of you who don't know, boys and girls out there, there's something there's the Gulf of Mexico, and it can be beautiful, but it also could be murky, and it depends on which side of the Mississippi River you are on.
Right.
Because that thing comes out of New Orleans, and if you're west of the Mississippi River, that muddy river just kind of flows and fills up the Gulf of Mexico there for you, and it kind of doesn't look so hot. But if you're east of it, all of a sudden you have beautiful Caribbean-looking waters, and it doesn't take long before you're seeing that beautiful sugar sand in Florida.
And shellfish that actually are alive and fresh and not glowing.
Yes, absolutely.
Hey, before I forget, let's congratulate ourselves, Rob. We are CBT Top 100 IoT influencers.
Oh my God, I can hardly wait for my check to arrive.
I know. I landed on that list, but and I don't know how they figured this stuff out, but I mean, what the hell?
Do they need my bank routing information or something to wire transfer me the money for being on another freaking list?
What's really weird is that somehow you guys get nominated, and I got your prices delivered to my house. So I got one box of tissues, another box of tissues, and I thought someone was getting reading glasses, but it's empty. So I don't know what that means. And I'm like, but Rob and Leonard, they don't live here. How did they come to my house?
Oh my God. You guys got hammered and you didn't even know it.
Yeah. So
I'm still waiting for all these being on these lists to start paying off. I'm still waiting for that, I don't know. It seems cool.
We need to do our own version of the Magic Quadrant, and that could be monetized.
Yeah, at $50,000 a customer.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if you think about it, we have over 200. What is it? We're going on. 140 episodes. That's 140 hours. Think about all the stuff you can mine out of all of that content. And I mean, like Rob and I were talking earlier about how if you listened to us in the first episodes, you would have been a hell of a lot better off with IoT today. Everything that we were talking about then, which was honestly, let's be honest, people, was completely counter to the way that people were thinking about IoT at the time. You would have either saved a lot of money, you would have, probably had a more successful business, whatever the hell success means in IoT. And
you guys were right. I mean, because of the worldly experience and reality of experience, you guys were right 120 episodes again, 140 episodes again before. So
This was 2 years ago?
Almost 3. We've been doing this for almost 3 years. Can you believe
almost
that?
3. I thought it was 2. I thought it was
more than it's like 2 months and
into COVID.
2 years and something like 8 months.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. That's right. It's 2 months into 2020.
Because we started it when we thought we were going to have to move into underground shelters for the rest of our lives. for COVID.
Well, so remember at that time, Rob, you were in charge of certain IoT aspects
Oh,
of
here it comes.
business. Which
He sold it.
today,
He sold it
and I
today.
was, and I was selling that particular platform and trying to build solutions and build additional revenue on it, only to see today in the news that Ericsson offloads its IoT accelerator unit.
Offload is the right word.
Yes,
It's a much
and the connected vehicle cloud business. Have you seen that?
Yes. And the color commentary without getting sued would be, so that product was originally brought into the company, 8 or so years ago. It was an acquisition from Telenor.
Probably 10 years ago.
Yeah, you're right. And there have been lots of groups of people who have been a part of that team and then got their heads chopped off, and then a new team and their heads chopped, that kind of deal. We know lots of people who are in the eSIM, mobile cellular IoT business. Some are very lightweight. Ericsson's IoT accelerator, though, is a very heavyweight system. We have to maintain what looks like cloud infrastructure all over the globe, actually. There's data centers all over the planet and lots of employees and developers and things working to keep that thing going. And it's like a different model. Actually, it's not unlike, though, what Ericsson normally does. There are 36 mobile operators that are part of IoT Accelerator. And so you're a mobile operator in whatever country, and you offer IoT SIM solution and say, I've got a global SIM, and it's branded for me, whoever I am. But behind the scenes, it's really Ericsson, which is not unlike whatever, you get cellular phones, and it comes from Ericsson or Nokia or Huawei anyway. And so that's how that works. But yeah, there's a lot of infrastructure and a lot of things to maintain. And then we had this other business called the Connected Vehicle Cloud, and we had Volvo. That's such an Ericsson thing. It's like, so Ericsson, what companies do you have on board with your new tech? I don't know, some company from Sweden.
Yeah, but it's not for the lack of trying.
No, you're right.
And for lack of, actually, they, when I was still there, they made inroads with various, specifically, I'm thinking Toyota and GM, but, materializing in that space.
So the last thing that happened, with new folks coming in was merging Connected Vehicle Cloud with IoT Accelerator, trying to get some synergies. And so when you see that both of those offerings have been sold together, which might have seemed unusual, that's why they were merged together, about a year ago. Yeah.
So Rob, so what does an Aeris get, Rob? I mean, why would they do that? Is it customer acquisition? I mean, what do they get?
Yes, they get customer acquisition. They'll get 36 operators, and there's 80, 90 million SIMs connected to this thing right now.
I think it's more than that by now.
It might be. Yeah, it might be.
Yeah.
Over 8,000 different enterprises.
Quite a bit.
And so yeah, a lot of endpoints connected and everything. But a lot of infrastructure to maintain too. So, there's obviously, there's, good with the bad or whatever. It's just running business. Sure.
And a lot of relationships too.
It's a lot of
relationships into industries that that those operators were targeting for business.
And so the challenge for Aeris is to find new ways to monetize those connections and those relationships.
Can they swap out SIMs to be put on the Aeris MVNO network?
Maybe. Could be. Yeah, maybe so. You're right. Just swap them out. No telling. But that's the main thing is you're getting a lot of customers. You're getting two tiers of customers.
I think my new business model is to just do rate increases via OTA updates to follow the inflation.
I like it.
Yeah,
I like it.
And when customers complain, they're like, well, stuff's more expensive. Got to pass it on to you, pal.
Yeah. Sorry, brah.
OTA inflation. David, no. Please, no.
Yeah. I mean, the other possibility is, I mean, Aeris, obviously, this is like falls in their sweet spot in terms of what their business is. Their technology platforms might be more economically scalable. They just do it.
Yeah, but I mean, Z is a pretty smart dude. I mean, he's going to have to try and figure out how to take that cloud infrastructure and integrate it into what Aeris has already built out on a worldwide basis. So, I mean,
So technically, I mean, from a operating model perspective, it could make a lot of sense. Business model, it'll take a little time because you have to.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Technically, who knows? There might be a lot of synergies. Actually, it might work out better.
Here at IoT Coffee Talk Advisory Services, we could advise.
I'm right, bro.
Take seriously at all.
Exactly.
We can advise.
We started off with Spinal Tap.
Affected by inflation, right? Affected by inflation advisory services.
If you're thinking about IoT M&A activity, you better friggin' call this team of IoT Coffee Talk people to help get through this.
We are the M&A due diligence experts.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, we are.
And we actually put our words. We don't do like a chat AI bot.
Oh yeah,
just throwing it out there. Okay, it's actual intelligence from the cerebro, from the brain. Not yeah.
But
so whatever we say is correct. There's zero chance that's gonna be zero chance is gonna be incorrect. Unlike
who's gonna argue with us anyway?
Chat AI.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So you could imagine the good advice we would give our good friends at Aeris on that. It's like, what did you get? You got 90 plus million new endpoint. 2 tiers of customers is what you got. You now have relationships with 36 mobile operators around the planet. So you have those new relationships.
Yeah, but they had that already.
I don't. Maybe, yeah. And then got all those.
I mean, they got like 170 carriers.
Yeah, they're offering similar services.
Exactly, similar to Core. I mean, so maybe.
So what are you thinking, Steve? Do you feel like move all of those 90 million connections off IoT Accelerator onto Aeris's platform? Yep. And then jettison that extra overhead, I guess.
Well, yeah. Again, you would know better about the migration of their infrastructure.
No, this is all hypothesis.
But I mean, to make this, they'll be paying initially, of course, because you're taking on a lot of infrastructure you got to maintain. But you're right; you can move them off and then jettison that infrastructure overhead that you just acquired, and then all of a sudden you got 90 million new extra customers or something. So yeah,
the valuation of adding that many net new subscribers onto their revenue books it's a huge number.
Yeah, it's almost like replatforming, right?
It is.
Yeah.
It is
replatforming, but the question is how quickly can they do it?
Yeah,
they probably can, like what you're saying. Switch out the SIMs and or redirect the SIMs, and then there you go, right?
Maybe we need to get Z from Aeris on here every once in a while, and he can give us some update on how he's doing that stuff.
I think it's a good idea.
It'd also be interesting for any cost savings or offloading or transferring that the active devices, how many of them are on a legacy SIM card versus eSIM, right? Because obviously, right. I mean, Aeris they've been doing the eSIM game for some time now, right? They have a lot of experience. So like that's a natural progression there. But there's no retrofitting devices here. Like this is it. And sometimes you have this physical SIM part that cost $37 14 years ago. But since we've sweated that asset, that is like, no, like this thing stays until it dies. And when it dies, if you don't have like the comparable, I don't know, controller, RTU, PLC, whatever the thing is, talking to eSIM, I'm going to try to repair it because I run my business with it. So that would also be super cool to understand, the population of legacy to E.
Wow.
Ryan, what do you think, dude? You're so quiet, man. haven't been on here for a long time. It's illegal for you to be so quiet.
Especially, 30 minutes of no talk from you. Come
He
on.
had brisket for breakfast.
That's like total BS, man.
Maybe you really need to see the real me, and that'll cheer you up.
Wake up, man.
I know. I need to get some more caffeine in me. No, I think I'm not as familiar with this, so I'm listening on this one. But it's interesting.
I just got back from Winterfell. Okay,
the Stark, Rob Stark,
Rob Stark, the wolf.
What's up with Rob today? Something is going on there.
He is wired up today, isn't he?
I'm wired up.
But
really
Brian, for you, maybe a way to put this is, imagine. So again, in this case, we're talking about you have a fleet, a population of devices that utilize a traditional physical SIM card that now has potential to move to this other platform that has an eSIM. Let's think like it's virtualized.
Yeah.
So, thinking in your world, it would be something like, hey, I've got this PLC that, is humming like a dream.
Mm-hmm.
And you're down with PLC.
Yes. PLC, like Peter. But I'm going to move it to this protocol to a new protocol that's not supported by the PLC. So you're not going to move it. It's like, I get what you're doing with MQTT, but my PLC doesn't speak that, so I'm just going to wait till it breaks. And if you want to take,
you can't drop PLC, Leonard.
That's all. Leonard's got to go. So anyway, that would be my my industrial translation attempt.
Yeah, that's because you're recording, Leonard.
No problem.
You know what, David? This problem is harder than I thought. Now.
You're giving Rob a headache today. He's like,
sorry, man.
Oh my God.
As soon as you and Andreea and everything started talking about 14-year-old SIMs and everything, it's like this replatforming thing just got a lot uglier.
It'd be correlated to 2G, 3G migration scenarios. I mean,
someone's going to have to go visit all of these endpoints.
That's right. It's not a retrofit. It's not a retrofit. It is like swap out city.
Oh God, I'm getting heartburn.
Because it's so many things. From before to after. Was I updating it? How will I update it tomorrow? The actual attributes of the service via a SIM to that device. What are you keeping? What are you throwing away? It's not. It's hard. Retrofit is hard. We know this.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Rolling a truck. I mean, at $100-something a piece, and plus the SIM, and I mean,
what's going to be interesting is Aeris's value proposition towards the operators, right? What would that look like? What would that sound like?
I mean, their wholesale agreements with the operators are phenomenal. I mean, they're very
right, but I mean towards the new ones they're acquired through the Ericsson IoT Accelerator.
Yeah, but we don't know if that's a new one, right? Because it could be existing. Because I mean, they have relationships with a lot of
it could. But what I mean is that I don't necessarily mean like new operators, but that's new business could be existing operator customers of Aeris, right? But it's like, here's the value proposition. So we acquired this platform that maybe you weren't too happy with for a variety of reasons, maybe, and we acquired it because, and here's what we're going to do.
Within our Wi-Fi business, we first start with some of the trends that are happening within the market.
Crap, sorry guys. Shit.
Yeah, Leonard.
I was going to say, who's talking?
I thought you were
multitasking.
I'm looking at all of you. I'm like, none of you is talking.
Leonard,
it's our IoT ghost.
He opened.
Obviously, everybody in IoT Coffee Talk, you can see he's paying attention.
That was a chatbot. Leonard.
Chatbot. Yeah, that's a chatbot AI.
Chatbot GPT.
That's right.
Talking to us.
Yeah.
But Andreea, another point is if you are if I am the platform that has all these customers, all these endpoints, and I want to play the part of, I'm going to bring this business, I'm going to offer this business to operator X because I have a wholesale contract. This is a game, and we've, this reminds me when we had Nick from SI, a few generations ago. This puts the operator in a tough spot, because here's the thing, operator, you don't have the relationship, so don't even bother making phone calls. It really becomes I'm the holder of all these, connectivity gizmos, and I'm going to go in and take your rates, and I'm just going to shop it. And I, as the platform and manager of all these connections, I just want to beat up the telco as much as I can, because if I have to go retrofit and send truck rolls, I need to optimize all of these connections so that they fit within a business plan. Man, it's tough to be in a telco.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you start to see, things that are happening. And Rob, we saw the announcement on the home IoT stuff that just happened over in Europe. I mean, it's just, these telcos are realizing, they don't really do a good job at this IoT stuff on their own. If you look at the program.
Which one is that? The orange?
Orange,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I understand it's home, but so many of them have tried the home consumer market on the IoT side, and it's a struggle. And then, of course, Rob, I have flashing issues going in my head about my new shophelium.store coming out next month. I'm like going, oh, shit. Another carrier says no to this. So what am I doing? But I do think that, back to it, it's a DIY scenario, right? So you don't need the carrier. You can buy stuff and manage this stuff on your own. You don't need it,
But if they need help, they could come to IoT Coffee Talk Consulting, where we have boots on the ground to help you deploy this stuff.
Oh, for sure.
But I think one of the questions I had based on this today was, so is this M&A activity ramped up for a positive reason? Like, I mean, we've always talked about M&A and some of these deals that we come across, and all of us have been involved in them. It still continues to be positive, I think, for us as an industry. Correct?
I know how Ericsson's feeling about this deal. They're feeling like, we got it off our books. And so you can take that any way you want it. It wasn't like they're making some acquisition or doing something that was going to improve their business. They're glad to have it off their books.
So they shouldn't have done it in the first place?
Yes, that's correct. But 10 years ago, they didn't know any better, right?
Yeah.
It was all sunshine and McKinsey telling us it's going to be magic.
Yeah, this is all hindsight
10 years
talk,
ago,
right?
Rob, because maybe we were in some of those, like private pass only Ericsson. What title are you meeting that you can get into in Barcelona?
Oh yeah, Barcelona.
But oh yes, Ericsson does tiered access. Like, yes, you're at the venue, check. Yes, you can be over there, but well, these little rooms, that's for the Aaron Judges of the world. But anyway, 10 years ago, this also sounded like a total different proposition to a tier one MNO. If Ericsson is bringing all of this mishmash of potential access onto an MNO, we're back to build versus buy, right? Like, hey, I have these capabilities now. I can localize on your network now, and I can give you localized access to 200, it's really like 3 markets right now. So now, again, like now we can laugh at it now because it's been beat up, it's been optimized by the MVNOs, it's been optimized by our friends at once. I mean, but anyway, so it made sense a decade ago. Now it's like, why?
And just for the record, I'm not laughing at it.
Yeah.
You could laugh at it here, Andreea.
No. What I mean is, I worked with it a number of years. I actually had the only customer in North America, and I got deep in the weeds, and it was a lot of good work. A lot of good work on solutions, and using that. And then if you look at this whole 10-year span, right? Who was there in IoT? What was the competition? Who was going after the market? Who was creating a better place, right? It wasn't a whole lot of a better place, right? For the connectivity itself, because that's what the accelerator was. The connectivity piece. Remember the company that Cisco bought? I can't remember their name now.
Jasper?
Jasper?
Jasper. Yeah.
Well, Jasper had a lot of the market there when they were small and nimble and focused, and that was the only business. Once they were bought, things changed quite a bit, and Ericsson actually started looking better when Jasper was bought, because of the focus that Ericsson was still giving to those customers.
It's funny to go back into the in down memory lane, because I mean, look at Qualcomm did with this little platform called Enphase, which was basically Qualcomm SIM management, and it got picked up.
And what Steve built was amazing.
Yes, it was. I mean, ahead of its time, and and then was acquired by a telco that I can't say the name, but starts with the letter V, and it's based in America and it has red in its logo, but I can't tell you what it is, and it's still there, right? Like the bones, the foundation goes back to Qualcomm. It's just changes names and teams.
I feel like I need some big red chewing gum right now. I wonder who that company was.
He said V, must be Vasquez.
Yes.
Yeah.
Vasquez
Wireless.
Yeah. But that's a good point, Andrea. 10 years ago, people were looking at this world differently. It was newish. Be interesting is, how did Telenor, what were they thinking when they sold it to Ericsson? Were they thinking, oh, wow, we're offloading this thing? Or did Ericsson make them a deal? Okay. I don't know. Yeah.
No, I didn't think so. When it happened, I didn't think so. It was more like, hey, this can do a lot more good than with Ericsson than with us here.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure they're thinking Ericsson had a bigger reach around the world. Yeah, I get it. Absolutely.
Yeah, but David, you bring up a great point. I mean, when you look at some of these acquisitions, like Cisco and the V for the Enphase stuff, do you think they regret it?
No, and I think I could answer no with some authority in the matter. And I think it's not regrettable because at the time, it was the business thought it was a good move to bring this stack into the business, right? Absorb, optimize that team, and then keep this thing that's now core to your IoT proposition. And now it's in-house and you control it in-house. And, now whether that's the case, again, today, in this case, 15, 16 years later, and who's left from that team and how much have you innovated on that platform, then now the answer changes. But at the time, I thought so. Personal opinion.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we all thought that Cisco was going to take a bigger plunge into our space, right? When they did that acquisition of Jasper and trying to understand where they played and how all of us in the ecosystem were able to play with the Cisco people, not just from a hardware play. But it just never really materialized. It just didn't, from that standpoint.
But it's just the whole thing with, and I know Ryan loves to talk about interoperability and all this stuff that just doesn't work with the next thing. Mm-hmm. But if we take the Cisco umbrella and we take the Jasper acquisition and what that brought in from a mobile cellular based thing, and then we take another acquisition. I think they bought Mist Systems, right? Mist has this super cool access point based BLE IoT thingy. Which again, but so on a PowerPoint slide, this would look good. This would look really good, like
especially from a hardware sales standpoint.
Yeah, that too, right? Mm-hmm. Like I have this thing that via BLE. I already have the backhaul. The thing is in your building. I can tell you where things are. Oh, by the way, when the thingy goes in the truck, I can. But But dude, that's like two different systems. Like they were never made to talk to each other. Have you tried to put a sock on a BLE thing? It doesn't work. That's not how it works. But on paper, look great. And I think that's one of the things that some customers might have gotten frustrated. And this isn't a shot at Cisco. This is a shot at any shop out there that put this proposition where you had one protocol doing one thing, another protocol doing another thing, and you said that you can marry them together.
No,
way. Like it's just, it doesn't work. Like Ryan trying to do MQTT on a PLC 5 today.
Yeah, exactly.
You're down with MQTT.
Yeah, you know me.
I think there's a lot of legacy assets in the field that they're going to have challenges with, right? And it's probably not worth the investment for them to go in, swap out the hardware, upgrade it, or their supplier, vendor, hardware supplier doesn't have eSIM capabilities built into their products yet. And so there's going to be this kind of lag as you transition. You don't have to just get your customers on board. You don't have to just have them switch their billing department and have them switch their vendor IDs and worry about billing them maybe to a new organization. Now you have to get all those hardware suppliers to integrate it. And instead of having a SIM that's going to cost you a few dollars, now you have to rebuy a whole new asset with an integrated SIM inside of it. I don't see that happening. That's just from a cost of hardware standpoint. Normally they'll contract it out too to a system integrator. So now it's just like the charges just keep piling up for this.
I mean, I agree with your assessment, which means I'm just setting up to disagree something in 2 minutes. Are you seeing, Siemens last year? I think 2.5 years ago, Siemens announced they put their name in the hat that they're going to do the industrial private cellular. And then a year after that, they announced, what's their router line? Scalens? I don't know how you pronounce it, but basically
the 5G router.
Yeah, but it was really neat because not because it's a 5G router, but because it was a 5G router made by Siemens that has OPC UA. And now it can utilize this router with native OPC UA to presumably speak to wirelessly to another OPC UA device that has that capability. So my question to Ryan, to see if he's seen it, are you seeing the Siemens rep using this wedge in the future that, hey, I know you got a PLC and I know it's physically wired to your OT network, but let me show you the future, because if you have to buy a new PLC anyway, when you commission this new machine, I'm Siemens and we're gonna get rid of the wires because it's cheaper, less labor intensive. When you have to retool and remove your stuff, are you hearing any of this? Because I haven't talked to my friends at Siemens for some time, and I thought I would be hearing, these things popping everywhere, and I'm not.
I haven't seen it yet, just from the customers that I've been speaking to. I'd be curious if they're using the same programming software for that. It seems like that's one of the biggest challenges in the industrial space is, do I have the same programming software for this version of the PLC versus the last generation? Am I going to have to pay for a whole new reinstall this software package on all of our maintenance laptops and that kind of thing? I love the idea of it, but it's still only speaking to one specific protocol. You mentioned OPC UA, maybe it's talking Profinet. I'd be curious what their connectors are for the other mix of machinery. So the Mitsubishi machining cell right next to it, how are they going to integrate with those systems? Your Rockwell PLCs, your Omrons. So I still see companies focusing on just their specific product lines and migrating and trying to keep them in that locked in ecosystem, saying, hey, we're Rockwell, we're going to lead with Ethernet IP, we're going to lead with Rockwell enabled products. That makes sense from a business standpoint, but I still haven't seen customers or hardware vendors really say, hey, we're going to focus on this whole Swiss Army knife of protocols. We're going to support the legacy equipment from them as well. So they might say, hey, we have a solution that all of our new PLCs talk OPC UA out of the box. That's great. 80% of our machines are from 20 years ago.
That's right.
So how does that help us?
It doesn't.
And so until I see these hardware vendors supporting legacy equipment, not just from their specific company, but from their competitors as well, it's going to be really hard to do industrial IoT without a IoT platform in the factory.
And a DIN rail.
Yeah, DIN rail mountable. You want oil and gas?
They're still selling friggin' boatloads of PLCs and controllers on DIN rail.
Yeah. DIN rail mountable. They want intrinsically safe. If you're selling oil and gas and into some verticals, they need to be IP67, 69K rated. It needs to be industrialized. We're not putting Raspberry Pis on the factory floor.
Wait a minute.
Whoa!
I said it.
To tell me that I cannot replace.
Wait, at least tell it's not doing it.
I'm not doing it.
I thought Raspberry Pi was the future of manufacturing. Wow.
Don't you just wrap that in cellophane paper and just put it next to the machine and pray?
Yeah, it's right next to the BlackBerry.
Yeah,
BlackBerry, Raspberry. What are we going with the next? Blueberry?
The Blueberry Pie.
Look, that was I loved your answer, Ryan, and as you were talking, I just imagine all of the small automation system integrators just doing this with their hands. I'm like, integration money.
Oh yeah.
Vendor lock-in, they need us. This is not getting resolved by the OEMs. I will retire, and my great-grandchildren will carry the legacy of our integration and automation shop.
Wow.
And you know what, David? It's funny. I was just talking to one of our customers yesterday. He said he's trying so hard to push them to an IoT platform and remote VPN access to access their PLC and diagnose it. They refuse. Their customer are happy to pay $10,000 to this guy every time for a last-minute service call to go out and troubleshoot something on site that could take him 10 minutes if they would have just given him outside internet access. But they don't want the monthly recurring charge of having a cellular plan. Their IT department doesn't want to whitelist their device or have any kind of outside internet access to it. And it's costing them so much money in the long run. It's crazy.
Ryan, isn't that? And I had a conversation with your guys over last week about it. And isn't it a SMB mid-tier versus enterprise level when it comes to something like that?
I see it. I've seen it at companies of all sizes, unfortunately.
Really?
So I've seen. Well, I think once you get to a certain size too, like if you're a big company like Ford, GM, you have a huge technical internal support group, but you still will have specialized machinery that people are not going to be familiar with, that they're going to have to do that. Yeah. But a lot of the older, I'll say the newer facilities will have like remote VPN access, some up-to-date networking systems, the infrastructure there. But I'm still surprised a lot of facilities run in production with the legacy equipment, the kind of split OT networks. They just haven't done that controls upgrade because everyone's terrified of stopping production. Right.
And then, we go back to, and, the pricing of this stuff. I mean, when you look at band 48 CBRS private, 5G in a warehouse, that stuff is still pretty expensive. I mean, for people to do any kind of retrofitting of existing equipment on that floor. So, I still think
that's funny. That's funny, Steve. Well, hold on. Let me illustrate my example. I think CBRS, indoor or outdoor, with 2-3 radios, right? So we're not talking about a million square feet. I don't think it's that much for what it is when you come in. If we just go connectivity, if we're just talking connectivity, and I look at CBRS, couple of radios, industrialized versus a fiber drop or a new Wi-Fi project, or I mean, hasn't reached parity yet, but for what it is, it's not as much as it was even 7 months ago.
No, but it's not the access points or the connectivity equipment; it's the per device cost. the module costs have not come down significantly with band 48 modules to get it to the point of where it's cost effective when you can get 4G LTE private for a hell of a lot less and more expensive and less expensive. So
No
that's
argument there.
yeah, that's the issue. I mean, I can't wait for the telets of the world, to get their band 48 public network products or even private network products down to a price that's reasonable. I mean, it's just because we all can't wait to use it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, an example, I was in a big warehouse in Spartanburg, Greenville, South Carolina yesterday that will go unnamed, and we're looking at
I know where you were.
Stop it.
I can guess where you are.
A Zebra CBRS compatible scanner is how much money? Almost well over $1,500.
1760. I think 1760.
I was going to say, I knew you would know that. I knew you would know that. But yeah, $1,700 for a CBRS compatible M48 big network. And you go, well, how many are they going to buy of that at $1,700 a piece?
Well, they will buy it, but I mean, even for the largest of warehouses, I mean, it's one per shift, not per head. It's one per shift. So,
okay, but if I'm running a huge warehouse, with hundreds and hundreds of thousands of square feet, if not a million, and you got forklifts all over the damn place, they're not buying all those.
Well, the thing is, Steve, they already have them and they're Wi-Fi based.
Right. Correct. Exactly.
So the problem becomes, I have 1 million square feet. I have 75 scanners and they all work on Wi-Fi, but there's this corner over there, the dark dimension where it just doesn't freaking work. Right. So now it's like, if you do your network pitch, it's like, well, that's fine. I'll take 4 scanners so that they work over there in the dark dimension, because if it works in here, I'm not forklifting any of this stuff. Right. So you're only going to sell 4. And wow, Rob, that looks like Rob Jobs.
I just got back from fighting battles in the dark dimension.
In the dark corner of the warehouse.
My God.
But David, one of the conversations yesterday was Wi-Fi 6. I mean, it sounds easy to put a Cisco Wi-Fi 6 unit in there. Well, what do you do with all the scanners? What do you do with all the forklifts? What do you do with all the scanning equipment that's already in there?
Yeah, actually, let me jump into the phrase with hopes I get corrected here by one of you guys. But I thought that one of the hiccups with Wi-Fi 6 is that if I deploy Wi-Fi 6 tomorrow and life is good, and I have my Wi-Fi 6 devices and life is good, and I have a Wi-Fi not 6 on the same network, it causes some performance issues on my new stuff. So we're back with a legacy issue. It's not that Wi-Fi 6 isn't awesome. It's just that the population of available Wi-Fi 6 devices is not, it doesn't match previous ones.
Right.
And when it does, I'm still not getting rid of my 1,768 MSRP scanner that is on, a previous.
What though? Thing. You know what? But even your doomsday scenario is way better than the greenfield CBRS 5G scenario.
What
it just is. It just is. It just is. Yes. Oh, my older Wi-Fi 5 and 4 or whatever we called it is a little slower. That's always been the deal with Wi-Fi. When they've had updates, the older stuff would drag it down. It's still something that works though, versus let's go buy all new stuff and $1,700.
Absolutely agree.
And Rob, also, I am triggering barcode scanning. I don't need sub-millisecond latency, speed, penetration into my pelvic bones. No, I just need best effort.
You guys probably don't know that I'm the king of barcode scanners, or I used to be. So a long, long time ago.
What the hell? No wonder you win all these fucking awards.
There used to be this product called Windows Mobile and even the Pocket PC. And in the early days, back before the dinosaurs, companies like Motorola and Zebra and Intermec and folks like that, they used Windows Mobile and they put them on a ruggedized barcode scanner. And I was one of the first people to start writing software for that. And then I built this product called I built a supply chain management system for Windows Mobile that would synchronize, and companies all over the world adopted it. And so I used to live in that world. I remember going and seeing there'd be like a dock with a whole bunch of these scanners all sitting in there. They would synchronize their data at night because they had Ethernet going into them, and then obviously they'd recharge. But you know what?
It's like a Palm Pilot scanner.
Dude,
it's like a Palm Pilot scanner, but more futuristic.
But it would have looked like this, however. Like, here's my Motorola Q, and let me show you my attachment.
Yes.
I mean, it's like, whoa. It was big.
But I got to design the system for FedEx, and that's stuff awesome. They use. That's the stuff they use. That's legit supply chain, man. That's hardcore stuff. That was a lot of fun.
And it worked. It worked great.
It worked great. And so, you know what? And Wi-Fi was magical to them, you know? And never forget, familiarity will trump all kinds of other better things. Everybody has Wi-Fi at their house and they know how to use it. That's how Windows got into the enterprise. That's how Windows 95 got into the enterprise. People had it at home. It was familiar. They liked it. And they asked their boss, can I run this crazy Microsoft thing?
Well, yeah. And I'm going to correlate your post today of going from Windows 99 to Windows 97 today, or whatever the hell you did.
I have to admit, I have like the ThinkPad I've got where I'm writing. I just use it for software development. So the Greenhouse platform, I'm writing it on that. And doubled my battery life going back to Windows 10. And it's so much more performant, so much more stable. And so I don't know. I've got another machine, like a desktop machine running 11. It seems okay, but I thought it was pretty peculiar.
How do we double battery on an IoT device if I want the same frequency in reporting?
Oh, you go to Windows Mobile.
Windows CE, baby.
Windows CE, exactly. Well, that's what I was correlating it to, Rob. I mean, when you start to look.
Windows CE was a real-time operating system that a bunch of us put together in the 90s, you know? Shame on Microsoft for getting out of that business right as IoT was about to really take off. Because at Microsoft, they started thinking, well, CE is just something we're using as a foundation to build smartphones on top of. And they totally missed the idea of, oh my God, I wish we still had CE for these trillions of IoT devices.
No kidding. Exactly.
Yeah, instead of giving up that business to, you know, all these other RTOS companies that got acquired by Amazon, and well, Microsoft bought one, Thread X. Yeah, go figure. You know, I do want to say something unrelated to anything. I did say it to Leonard when we were chatting earlier. I'm trying out new system here, new software. I bought the new 10th generation iPad, and what's significant about this? Two things. The camera is on the landscape side instead of the portrait side. Anyone who's ever tried to do video calls on an iPad and the camera's over here and you're kind of looking like this the whole time, that sucks. It was stupid. So it's now the landscape like your laptop. So I'm just sitting here with a kickstand and I've got 5G on it. And
nice.
You know what? And I had an old iPad Pro and a line on T-Mobile. So I just upgraded that, and now I've got a 5G iPad. I could do meetings on it. It's got that Apple Center Stage thing that you're seeing happening here.
I saw you testing that earlier, doing the facial tracking.
Yeah. So I'm like, you know, this is kind of a handy little portable meeting thing, I think.
I can do that. What's the magic? I'm totally not doing this by hand.
Oh my gosh. What's the cost? You know, because I think the baseline cost, it's the 10th generation iPad. It's like $499 or $449. I probably paid more because I got the 5G. I paid more because I got the, you know, they only had two options for storage. I think it was like either 128 or 256 or something. So I got the 256. You know, so it's it's designed to be a cheaper, lower end model than the Pro, but having the camera in the right place and 5G, I was like, you know what, this is gonna be fine. You know,
nice.
Yeah. Who knew? So
there's a coffee.
I'm waiting to get a check from Apple as well as CBT you know.
CBT.
So
Good luck on both of those accounts.
I'm going to start holding my breath now.
When you get the check, if it's signed by Steve Jobs, don't cash it because you might have a fraud issue in your hands.
You're right. Oh my gosh! Wow.
You don't want to go to jail, before Christmas.
No,
It sucks to go to jail before Christmas. That's never fun.
yeah,
Absolutely.
So.
Well, Ryan, do you think you could take us out? Do you know what the words are to say when we end one of our shows?
I'm gonna go with a maybe.
A maybe.
But maybe I'm a little stage. I got stage fright. Will be my excuse today. So
all right. So
I'm gonna pass the baton.
We're out of coffee. We've been on this meeting. My little Zoom app here on my iPad's telling me actually I've been on here for an hour and 15 minutes because I was chatting with Leonard. We're going to take off. Thanks for coming into IoT Coffee Talk. We talked about some serious stuff today. The New York Yankees, whatever. You guys,
for life.
Yeah, whatever. Go Astros. Go Mariners.
Hey, we didn't talk about the World Cup. We talked nothing about the World Cup.
What's that?
What is that?
Yeah.
That's
Soccer.
I watched every match.
Yes, the European on the call watches soccer. Yeah, I get it.
She's not alone. She's not alone. I'm with you.
I know you are. Anyway, thanks for coming in here. We certainly talked a lot about this acquisition. Aeris acquired the IoT accelerator and connected vehicle cloud business from Ericsson, and obviously you got wide-ranging color commentary on that acquisition and advice on how they could make that work. And so I'm sure checks will be forthcoming from Aeris to us as well for that. I'm going to
hold our breath for that one too.
I'm going to hold my breath for that. Definitely, if you want to watch the live video of this on the YouTubes, just go to iotcoffeetalk.com and you'll be redirected to the magical HTML. Also, we now have over 70 of our episodes are on the podcast machine now. So if you want to listen to us, that's like my struggle is I'm slowly converting and uploading the audio of this to all the places where you get podcasts. And so anyway, you can listen to us everywhere. It's on every podcast platform. So thanks so much for hanging out with us. And we will see you next week.
You got it. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.
All righty. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.